Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue en Pendu dans la Lune. Hello friends. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you have been here before, you know from that French-styled introduction that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille or antique Italian cards, decks, to answer questions which come from my larger weekly spread, which is based in the Rider-Waite-Smith system. And if you haven't seen this week's larger spread and you want to, I'll put a card up here so that you can click and go take a look at that. I think the title I gave to it was, for this week, Transformation from the Base. And that spread talked about things like how transformation is integral to living life intentionally. Yeah, we transform from the base and we love ourselves through our transformation. And that transformation is how we prepare ourselves to receive what we have placed on the river of intention. So from that spread, we talked about things like, again, loving ourselves, opening ourselves to transformation, and 2 times cards that were based or that were informing us about dissatisfaction or disappointment appeared. And so from that larger spread, I pulled this question, and it's a long question, so let me read it for you. What is the best response to feelings of disappointment or dissatisfaction? Yeah? What is the best response to feelings of disappointment or dissatisfaction? So, to answer this question, I am using my brand new deck from Artisan Tarot. Now, Artisan Tarot is a new group, fairly new group, who are doing redrawings and cleanups of older decks. Now, this is a Nicoals Conver deck. Now, Nicoals Conver, the original deck, and there are many of these Nicoals Convers, and that's why the Nicoals Conver style Tarot de Marseille is probably the most common. People reproduce and redraw that the most. So, the Nicoals Conver deck originally was from 1760, and it's from France, and I believe it is a Marseille deck, but it might be Lune. So Artisan Tarot looked at an original copy of that, and redrew it, cleaned it up for the modern eye, and reproduced it on beautiful cardstock. The cardstock of this deck is just amazing. It's thin, but thin like real playing cards, and it's got that real playing card feel to it. It shuffles like a dream. It's just wonderful cardstock, and it came in, for me, a wooden box that is amazing. So this deck is going to be a real workhorse for me, even though, like I said, the box is totally deluxe. But the cards themselves are very sturdy, and they're going to be very durable. So I'm so excited about this deck. And enough about the deck. I have an unboxing and a walkthrough of that deck on my channel, so if you want to see that, go take a look at it. So right now, I've got 3 cards laid out. I will show you that question again, and I will show you the cards that came out in response, and then we'll read the cards together. Let's take a look. So friends, I was startled, surprised, perplexed by the answer that came from the deck. You saw that what we had were 3 swords cards, and you were probably thinking, what, didn't the guy shuffle the deck? I shuffled the deck. I shuffled the deck. I shuffled the deck when I did the walkthrough. I shuffled the deck after I did the walkthrough. I shuffled the deck before I asked the deck this question. And when I say I shuffled the deck, I didn't shuffle the deck once. I shuffled the deck about 8 times 2 different spots, and then 3 times on camera for my unboxing and walkthrough. I shuffled this deck quite a bit, and still we got 3 swords appearing for us. The 3 of swords, the 9 of swords, and the 4 of swords. I was shocked. I was literally shocked. And I almost thought, no, maybe I should reshuffle. But then I thought, no, I have shuffled this deck plenty. So this is the answer for my question. What is the best response to feelings of disappointment and dissatisfaction? So, this is a very important question for me right now because I lost about 2 hours of video work just a moment ago. So, I was feeling a little bit disappointed and a little bit dissatisfied just a little while ago. So, this spread is going to give me a very good answer. But it's also answering the question of when we feel disappointment and dissatisfaction, in the process of transformation, how do we move forward from that? So what do we have? We got the 3 of swords first, and we'll move from 3 to 9 to 4, which I think makes sense because we're moving to the stable card, right? We're moving from the unstable to the stable. And dissatisfaction, disappointment is an unstable feeling, thought, and we want to move to something more stable. So what is the first card? The 3 of swords. 3 of swords actually is a card that I usually like. That's the card of breakthrough ideas, getting feedback, first communication. This card can be all of that because swords are thoughts, communication, air. So in the communication realm, it could be getting your first feedback, the first break in of thought, of communication, or the first break out of communication, first communication, first feedback. It could also be the card for ideas blossoming and developing. The ace is that first spark, that first seed of a thought. The 2 could be conflicting thoughts, it could be balancing thoughts, it could be thoughts in resting germination. But here the 3 is ideas that blossom and break through. It's that first bud, the first actual thing that you can see and feel and really notice. Now the thing that's come up from beneath the ground. It could be enthusiasm with passion for study and learning. And it can be desire for intellectual development. So, what does that have to do with disappointment and dissatisfaction? Well, it could be telling us to just a moment, to recognize that perhaps, just perhaps, that disappointment and the dissatisfaction could be that first communication, could be the first feedback. Maybe that disappointment and dissatisfaction is not something that we want to ignore and get out of and escape, but we might want to look at, because that feeling might be the communication, the feedback that we need at that moment. And from that first communication, we could then, with that same 3 of swords card, get an idea. Can you remember a time when this has been a process for you where you feel disappointment, you feel dissatisfaction, and you recognize it? And you think, okay, so I'm not doing so good right now. I'm not doing so well. I'm not happy. I want to be happy. I'm not happy. I'm disappointed. What is that telling me? What can I realize from that? And what idea can come from this. Now, sometimes we realize that need can be the mother of invention. Dissatisfaction can perhaps be the mother of satisfaction, if we allow it to be, if we allow ourselves to feel it rather than ignore it, try to escape it. Maybe that dissatisfaction could be the first communication. And what draws us, what makes us desire our intellectual development. So I'm dissatisfied. I want to learn something. I want to gain something. I want to understand something. And that could be what this Three of Swords is pointing to us to as we move into the Nine of Swords. Now, the Nine of Swords, nines are usually for me breakdowns and breakdowns. Yeah. And for this card, it would be the breakdown of ideas and beliefs and communication. So, does that mean we want to stop talking to people? Our minds are going to crumble around us? I don't think so. I don't think that's what this is trying to tell us, especially here at this point in this spread. Now, here we have the Nine of Swords, which is also a perception shift. Now, a loss of belief, broken ideology, broken beliefs, broken understandings, but broken in the sense of cracking open. You see the sword piercing, of course, all the odd number swords pierce the other swords, but this sword is piercing through a layer and layer and layer upon layer of thought. So that cracking open of a shell. Now, sometimes our thoughts and beliefs become like the tower in the tower card that needs to be broken open. And so perhaps while we're here buried in our disappointment and dissatisfaction and in that being the first communication that, hey, I'm buried in this feeling and these ideas of lack and poverty and unworthiness perhaps. So I get that first communication and I want to learn, I want to get out of this. And so I crack through with the nine. I crack through the accretion and layer upon layer of unhelpful beliefs, unhelpful ideas, old concepts. So those old concepts can be brought into question and reevaluated and let go of. And I think that's probably the most important step, so this is the center card, of the process of moving out of dissatisfaction and disappointment. It's bringing into question our beliefs about what we are experiencing. Not the experience, not the feelings, but what we are experiencing. Now we have these feelings of disappointment and dissatisfaction because we are experiencing something that we don't want to experience, or we think that we don't want to experience, that we think is wrong, that needs to be changed, that should be corrected. And so we want to reevaluate our perception of the way things are. And let go of those judgments of the way things are going, the way things are now. Maybe break our own old patterns of thought. Now, it's those patterns of thought which lead to our dissatisfaction and lead to our disappointment. And so as things crack open, maybe we can start to see the light shining through the crack. Like the tower cracking open, the lightning can pierce through, the light can pierce into the darkness. And so we move into the four. The four, the stable card. Now we got a flower growing in the middle, a very healthy looking flower growing in the middle of these thoughts and communications. Analysis. Yeah. Now that we've cracked open, what is here? What is here? What really is here? We can analyze things a little bit. We can think rationally about really who are we, where are we now? Without without the judgment of dissatisfaction, disappointment, things need to change. Where are we? What is here? And we could return to our grounded feelings, or understandings, I should say, understandings of our maturity, our position in the world, our belief in ourselves. We can organize and stabilize our minds after cracking open, because perhaps a little bit of restabilization is going to be necessary. And remember, the fours are also tending towards conservatism. Yeah? Not conservatism as in Democrat, Republican conservatism, but conservatism as in maintaining things. Now, we've cracked open in the 9. So whatever is left, the stuff that we are carrying forward, we want to conserve those ideas, those beliefs, the understandings that we are in abundance. We are here, not in lack, but we are here in a universe of infinite possibilities. And we want to conserve that belief which we were born with. We came into the world knowing that. And we want to conserve that as we've cracked open and we've cracked away, discarded, and shed the stuff which was causing our disappointment and dissatisfaction. And then we find our stability and get on stable ground. Yeah, restructure our base of thought and beliefs and understandings that we will carry forward with us, because we feel that these are our truth now, and they will help us. They will keep us stable as we move forward from and out of our dissatisfaction and our disbelief. Does that make sense? I'd love to hear from you. So, friends, if you're still here, hit that like button so that I know that you got something out of this. It encourages me. Hit the subscription button and click the alarm bell so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. And share this with anybody who you think might be interested in it. And comment below. I would love to hear from you. Does this make sense? Does this reading make sense of how to get past disappointment and dissatisfaction as an intellectual journey, a mind journey as well? Oh, and if you're interested in getting a private reading from me, I will have a link to my Instagram below, so you can go over and send me a direct message, a DM, and we can work something out. If you're interested in practicing Tarot de Marseille, I'll also have a link to my Facebook group, and you can join, and I give questions and possible, not readings, but possible spreads. Not in the sense of Rider-Waite-Smith spreads, but like numbers of cards and positions for cards and ways of reading cards in those positions, not as single question for single position, but for example, 9 cards all gathered together in a square. How do we read that? So if you want to practice Tarot de Marseille, I've got a group. Come join the group and answer the questions, agree to the rules if you're interested. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.